Hey everyone, if you're just joining us here on our Atlanta News First Plus stream, just want you to have an idea of what you are looking at here on this stream. This is a press conference about to get underway for Tyler Canaris and his legal team.
My name is
speaking
Sean
out
Williams.
after an alleged use of force, police use of force incident. Let's listen.
I'm joined by Sam Starks, my partner at the Cochran Firm, and we represent Tyler Canaris in a civil matter as relates to an assault that he experienced on March 4th, 2022 at the hands of Deputy McMaster of Paulding County Sheriff's Department. We're also here with Tyler's criminal attorney, Torres Butterfield. We are here because, as you guys know, y'all have seen a video was put on the internet last week that specifically detailed what Tyler has been through over the last year. He was, without justification, detained and body slammed by Deputy McMaster. Make no mistake about it, Tyler did nothing wrong. He was on his way to work. And as you saw from this video, Tyler complied and attempted to just figure out why he was being stopped. The video clearly shows Tyler repeatedly asking Deputy McMaster, "Why are you stopping me?" The video shows that rather than listen to Tyler and confirm that Tyler was not the person that they were looking for who had been breaking into cars, instead of doing what a reasonable officer should and would do, Deputy McMaster, the video shows, body slammed Tyler. The video shows that this body slam was done illegally in violation of Tyler's constitutional rights, but more importantly, him being detained and arrested, there was no probable cause for that, and there's no legal reason for what happened on that early morning on March 4, 2022. I want to be clear. Without this video, we would not know the whole truth. So we are so grateful for this video. But it's also important to realize this happened almost a year ago. And yet, you guys are here because of the video and what it shows. And that video shows that not only was Tyler's constitutional rights violated, but Paulding County Sheriff's Department covered this up, did nothing about it until you guys saw that video last week. Now, we saw the video. It speaks for itself. There is no reasonable person looks at that video and think that this man deserved what happened to him. But there's something else that I want you guys to know that is not on that video that makes this case even more tragic. The first thing is this. As a result of being body slammed, Tyler suffered serious injuries. Tyler suffered a left clavicle fracture. He currently has pins in his shoulder that will be with him for the rest of his life. He has a right hand fracture as a result of this body slamming. He suffered a skull fracture as a result of being body slammed just for walking to work. He had a ruptured eardrum. He had bleeding coming out of his ear. And significantly, he got a concussion and was diagnosed with a traumatic brain injury. This video doesn't show you that as a result of those serious injuries, Tyler had to be admitted to Wellstar Kennestone Hospital. And due to the fact that he had a fractured shoulder, a traumatic brain injury, he had to be seen by numerous specialists. He had surgery. He incurred over $75,000 worth of medical bills. What makes this even more troubling, the ambulance that was used to transport him because of the body slamming of Deputy McMaster, they even charged Tyler for that. All Tyler did was walk to work, committed no crimes, and he's getting a $75,000 bill. He has to have surgery. He has long-lasting medical issues. What the video doesn't show is that Paulding County knew all of this. They've had this video that you guys saw last week, they've had it almost a year. And instead of doing anything about it, what they did instead was even worse. Deputy McMaster went and filed a false affidavit for the arrest of Tyler. Didn't tell us about it for a couple of more months, so he had an arrest warrant out there. Mr. Butterfield got involved and handled it, but he is still being prosecuted today due to these false and misleading affidavit and statements made by Deputy McMaster. Now let me tell you something else the video doesn't show. Despite what you see on the video, despite what they knew what happened and that Tyler did nothing wrong, for a year almost, there was no discipline or termination of Deputy McMaster. The only thing they did, and we got the report here, the only thing they did was give him a warning because the audio equipment on the car wasn't on properly. And they told him he used harsh language. In fact, their own report says the use of force that you used against Tyler was within our policies and procedures. It gets worse. What you also don't see on this video is that they have known about the history and the propensity of Deputy McMaster to use excessive force and to be aggressive in his job. We also have, from their own records, knowledge of their own superiors at Paulding County. And I quote saying this: once reviewing his file, we recognize that Deputy McMaster can be unnecessarily overly aggressive in handling situations. This is their own records. This goes back as far as 2015. So what you saw happen on that video on March 4th, Paulding County has known about Deputy McMaster and his activities for years. They also go on and says, we further explained to Deputy McMaster, this is back in November 2015, that if he continues to demonstrate a pattern of inappropriate use of force, it could lead to further discipline action or termination. Guess what, folks? They lied. When they saw the video that we saw last week, they didn't discipline him more. They didn't terminate him. They did nothing until the public got outraged and saw this video. That's when they called the GBI. That's when they put him on desk patrol. Before then, it was business as usual. The other thing that's not on this video is the joint effort of the Paulding County Sheriff's Department and the Paulding County Solicitor's Office to not only cover up the illegal, unlawful actions of Deputy McMaster, but to prosecute this young man, in their words, for obstruction. They saw this video, and then 8 months later, they bring charges of obstruction. Is it by coincidence? It's after he hires the Cochran firm to look into the civil matter that he's now prosecuted? The person who should be prosecuted by by the solicitor's office, by the district attorney of Paulding County, is McMaster. He the one that committed a crime. He the one that unlawfully body slammed Tyler without legal justification or cause. The people of Georgia, the citizens of Paulding County, the government leaders and officials of Paulding County should be outraged. They should be outraged at this miscarriage of justice that are going on against Tyler. If the law enforcement agency at Paulding County, the sheriff's department, the prosecutors, whose duty and responsibility is to protect Tyler, is doing this to him, a hardworking young man just going to work, what are they doing to the other people of Paulding County? We're here to not only speak about that video and to speak and get justice for Tyler, but we're here to make sure this doesn't happen to anybody else in Paulding County again. I'm going to let Attorney Butterfield get up here and tell you about what we're doing for Tyler regarding this bogus criminal charge that he has against him.
Hey, good morning. My name is Taurus Butterfield, and I represent Tyler Canaris concerning the criminal charges of obstruction of a law enforcement officer currently pending in Paulding County State Court. Now, the public outcry in this case has been swift, and it has been loud, and justifiably so. We're here today to demand that the criminal case against Tyler Canaris be dismissed immediately. The actions of Officer Deputy McMaster on March the 4th of 2023 were unnecessary, they were unjustified, but more importantly, they were unlawful. When this officer ran up to Tyler Canaris and put his right hand behind his back, he effectuated an arrest because Tyler was not free to go. There was no probable cause to stop Tyler. There was nothing to suggest that Tyler committed any crime whatsoever. So this was an unlawful arrest. Under Georgia law, the Supreme Court has made it absolutely clear that you have a right to resist an unlawful arrest. So even if Tyler, they allege he didn't put his hand behind his back or he pulled away, which is belied by the video, Tyler never did anything to obstruct this officer, but even if he did, he would have been justified. In this particular case, I understand that the Assistant Solicitor General, Alan Cleveland, is supposed to be someone of fair mind. I have not yet met with LaWanna Nolan, but we are filing a motion to dismiss based on the immunity doctrine concerning any allegations that Tyler was not justified in his behavior. The prosecutors have a gatekeeping function in our society. They're here not to just seek convictions, but to do justice. So do the courts. It is my hope and prayer that the prosecutors will look into this matter immediately and dismiss it. They already had a chance to review the video, but with the public outcry, it is our hope that they immediately dismiss this matter. Since the criminal case is pending, I don't want Tyler to get into the facts of the case, but I am going to let him briefly speak with you guys about how this incident has affected his life. And then I believe Sam Starks, who's one of the civil attorneys, is going to speak with you about where the civil case is. But I just want to say real quickly that these cases are sad in that this is an alleged that someone was breaking into cars and they stopped Tyler. And as a result, he was body slammed. Could have been killed had his head been crashed into the cement. This is the same thing that we see in the Tyree Nichols case in Memphis, where it was a traffic stop, ends up with someone dead. It's the same as the George Floyd case, where it's a fake $20 bill, life is gone. We as a society don't care anything about property, we care about individuals. And what should have happened in this case is as follows. If this officer believed Tyler was a suspect, he should have come up to him, allowed Tyler to explain his reason for being there, and Tyler would have said, yeah, I'm just walking to work. And they could have called back up. They could have asked him, produce ID and talk to him. They could have maybe patted him down for officer safety, but under no circumstances should they have arrested and committed police brutality against Tyler. So, Tyler, if you come up for a moment. Tyler, I want you to briefly tell the world how this incident has affected your life.
Basically, after it happened, I had trouble walking to work and not thinking that there was a cop following me, or and now that I have a car, I feel like sometimes I feel like that some cop is following me sometimes. And then as far as my shoulder goes, at work, I can't perform my duties the way I used to. I can't pull things, I can't lift things as well as I used to. And that's that.
All right. At this point, we're going to let Sam Stark speak with you guys. Have some stuff.
Good morning. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the civil process that is underway, and that will likely lead to a lawsuit being filed against the county and against the deputy. But let me go off script just for a minute and maybe say a little more directly, or perhaps a little less diplomatically than Taurus and Sean, as it relates to what happened to Tyler. So Taurus referenced the case in Memphis and George Floyd, and what I would say to you is that police brutality is something that affects people from all races and all walks of life. White people are not immune from police brutality. Now, disproportionately, it's black and brown people that we see most often. But I'm not surprised. I was not surprised to see that in Paulding County, Tyler Canaris, as a white man, by a white deputy, had the sort of experience that he had. Police brutality comes in all different varieties. Sometimes it's a white officer and a black citizen. Sometimes it's a black officer and a white. In the 20 years I've been doing civil rights work, I've seen all different varieties, unfortunately. The other thing that I want to say is that this is something that's not an isolated incident. I don't believe it is for Paulding County. I don't believe it is for Metro Atlanta. We know that it's not for Metro Atlanta. These are not isolated incidents. But unless you do what Tyler does and contact a law firm and get a criminal defense attorney, you all would never know about it. But talk to some public defenders and some criminal defense lawyers, and they will tell you that this sort of stuff happens all the time. It happens all the time. And unfortunately, prosecutors and judges are part of the problem, right? So there's a prosecutor in this case that certainly had all the evidence that the police officer had and that we have now. And despite having that evidence, as Sean mentioned, they've charged Tyler. But that's classic bad cop 101. You beat up a person and then you charge them with committing a crime, and the prosecutor's office, they lean into that. And so in essence, they are ratifying and condoning what obviously they should know was not a crime committed by Tyler. If anything, maybe you charge them both, right? But I'm not as hopeful as Taurus may be as it relates to whether this case will get dismissed, the criminal case, because I think judges too are also part of the problem. There's a reason why you don't hear judges and prosecutors advocating for police reform. And the reason for that is because they rationalize it as sort of a necessary evil that we have to accept as a society in order to get bad people off the street. That there may be some innocent people like Tyler that get sort of caught up under the wrong set of circumstances, but judges and prosecutors, they know as well as civil rights lawyers and criminal defense lawyers that roughing people up, lying on police reports, it's part and parcel of how the criminal justice system operates. And the check on that, it's supposed to be the judges and the prosecutors. But it's rare that we see judges and prosecutors, I think, fulfilling their duties and responsibilities. But let's follow this case and let's see whether, go to the solicitor's office as part of your reporting on this case and ask the solicitor whether they saw the video, whether they think that video exonerates Tyler, whether they think the officer committed an assault and a battery during the course of the arrest of Tyler. Go to the sheriff's office, which they seem a little surprised and a little flat-footed. We did not release this video. We got it maybe 2 weeks ago through the criminal case, although we were representing Tyler within a week or so of this incident, making requests to the county. Give us the police report, give us the video, give us everything regarding the incident. And what they told us is that there was an ongoing investigation, so they couldn't give that to us. And so they more recently, they've started to give us some of the information that's available. But I think one of you asked a sergeant with the sheriff's department, says, you see this video, is that the way your officers are trained to make an arrest? And I think his response was, I acknowledge the optics are bad, but we're going to let the GBI sort of sort that out. That's go to the GBI. I think they will tell you their role as far as investigating this incident. It will focus on fact gathering. The GBI will not make a determination about whether or not this sheriff's deputy violated Paulding County's use of force policy in the way he arrested Tyler. The GBI, they're not going to take a position when their investigation is done about whether or not Tyler should have been charged or whether Deputy McMaster should be charged. They just gather the facts and they just gather the evidence. So the GBI can't make this right. The fact that the GBI is involved now, really, it's too little, it's too late. It may shed some light on the particulars, but by and large, I think that video sort of tells the story. And so I guess what I want to say about this situation with Tyler is that this is the sort of thing that's happening to people all the time. And police officers and prosecutors and judges, to some extent, are condoning it, they're ratifying it, they are going along with the lie. And I think we see some of that here. So in terms of the civil process or the civil rights injury that Tyler has, the law in Georgia requires that on behalf of Tyler, we give the county notice of any claims that he may have against the county within 1 year of the incident. And so we're approaching that 1 year mark. So perhaps even as late as this afternoon, we will serve a written notice on Paulding County, the commissioners. The sheriff will get a copy. They have a county attorney. We will provide them with notice of Tyler's claim with the facts that support that claim. But Tyler has a case against Deputy McMaster in his individual personal capacity. And then he has a case against Paulding County because, as Sean mentioned, there is evidence that we already have, and frankly, we haven't seen, I think, the half of it yet. We don't have most of it. This is a deputy who at some point was working at the jail and had a habit of being overly aggressive, had some documented anger management issues, disciplined and written up for threatening his wife's co-workers. And so the county, we believe, has known or should have known that this is the kind of officer who does not have the right disposition, the right temperament to be on patrol. And I think we see that sort of borne out in the way he responded to Tyler. So it seems they've done kind of a general investigation into this, as Sean sort of pointed to. One of the things, though, that's clear, and I have two things I have copies of that I will provide to you. One of which is the report that's within this officer's disciplinary file regarding the incident where he's threatening the co-workers of his wife's co-workers. He's threatening them. They notify the sheriff's office of this in writing. And what grows out of that is a memorandum from the sheriff's department, basically to Deputy McMaster, saying, you got to get some counseling, you got to get some help, otherwise we're gonna have to do something. Now that's been some years ago. My guess is we're gonna see some other things. We're gonna see a pattern of behavior that's before and after this incident. We've sort of heard, at least from talking to lawyers, that this guy, one of the things he has a habit of doing is using his taser in a manner that is unreasonable, right? He's at least on the street, he's got the nickname, what is it? McTaser.
Get called McTaser.
Right? And so it 9 times out of 10, whenever we see these cases, when Sean and I get a call about someone that's been shot or killed or beaten up by the police under circumstances that are not justifiable, 9 times out of 10, that officer has a history of doing the exact same thing to other people, such that the department, had they dealt with him or disciplined him, we would sort of never get to this point. So what I foresee with our case, the civil rights case, even though the criminal case will do what it does, but for the civil rights case, we will give that notice to the county probably today. It will be in writing. It's public information. And in theory, the law says that the county should investigate his claim, and we should, or the county should decide whether or not this is a claim that the county wants to resolve without filing a lawsuit. But they have 30 days to do that. So if I had to guess, well, let me not. But within the next 30 days, we will know whether the county has any interest in trying to resolve Tyler's civil rights claims, which are for assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, a violation of his Fourth Amendment rights. He was detained and arrested without what's called reasonable articulable suspicion or probable cause. And if you go through the reports, they're looking for somebody that's breaking into cars. I don't think there's a description by race. It's just they're wearing black clothing and they got a backpack on, but they got orange shoes. So if you look at, there's this narrative that McMaster did, I think, hours after the arrest, where he goes through all this stuff about, yeah, I know that, when people break into cars, they usually steal guns out of cars. And so I was kind of aware of that when I saw Tyler. That's the lie. That's like the cops in Memphis saying, stop reaching for my gun. You see what I mean? That's cop talk. That's a bad cop documenting in a police report all of these things that will really try to get Tyler convicted of a crime and get him off the hook for assault, for brutality. And he says, oh, I was injured, I had an abrasion. We see that's textbook 101. That's just classic bad cop behavior to cover up incidents like this. So we will, both from a criminal defense standpoint and from a civil rights standpoint, we will seek justice for Tyler. But go to the sheriff and see what was their position, and where's the use of force report and everything. Did they think the officer did what he should have done with Tyler? But more importantly, go to the prosecutor and ask, why was this guy charged? And why was McMaster not charged? Thank you.
Before we take some questions, because I know you guys have some, I just want to make clear on a couple final points. What you have seen in the video, what you've heard, what the evidence is regarding how they've treated Tyler, what they've done to cover up their actions, and what they continue to do to prosecute this person, this young man, shows so many failures. The system that was put in place, as Sam said, the law enforcement, the prosecutors, the judges, they failed them. They failed them on all levels. So we're asking, not only in making a claim on Tyler's behalf, but we're asking that Deputy McMaster be terminated immediately. There is no reason with this type of behavior, that what we saw in the video, in the history he has, in their own words, him being overly aggressive, he should remain on the force. And for him to be put on a desk job is insulting to this young man, to the legal system that they have a duty to uphold. The other thing is this. We are asking, because as Sam put it, the GBI's role is just to investigate and get facts. Paulding County, in their own records, they looked at this video. There's a use of force report. Go ask Paulding County for it. As part of their policy and procedure, they are required to review the use of force incident of any deputy. Somebody at Paulding County administration and supervisors looked at this video. In their own file, they say this use of force was appropriate. They failed them. Deputy McMaster failed them. Paulding County failed them when they had an opportunity, even before this happened, to get him off the force. And then the prosecutors have failed them by prosecuting him and charging him with a crime he didn't commit. So we're going to take it out of Paulding County. We're asking U.S. Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney's Office, we're sending a letter on behalf of Tyler to investigate this officer, Paulding County Sheriff's Department, and even the Solicitor's Office if they are involved in covering up these illegal and unconstitutional acts. We should be able to expect that the people in our own community, our law enforcement, our prosecutors, our judges are going to protect our citizens in our own county. We've lost trust in Paulding County in that regard, so we're asking the federal government, the U.S. Department of Justice to get involved. Any questions for you?
John, Paulding County deputy said that the video clearly shows resisting giving on his backpack. That's what led to that.
Yeah, I'll respond.
Come on. I don't think the video shows that, notwithstanding what their mischaracterization is.
Tom.
But I'll let Torres.
So the video clearly shows that Tyler never had an opportunity to comply with the officer's command. You grab a man by his right arm and he has a backpack on and say, take off your backpack. Tyler had his phone in his left hand. He wasn't able to take off his backpack. This would be different if he approached Tyler and say, sir, will you remove your backpack? And Tyler refused. But even still, because this was an unlawful arrest and detention, Tyler had a right to resist. But we're not saying he did in any way, but the video clearly shows Tyler had no opportunity to remove his book bag. He jumped down upon Tyler. He grabbed him. Tyler simply says, "Hey, what's going on?" He clearly is walking down the street, had his earbuds in, but when the officer grabbed him and placed his arm behind his back and says, "Take off your backpack," Tyler didn't have a chance before he was then rushed to the front of that police car. And within minutes, the officer said, almost in a very impatient, overly aggressive way, he let the officer McMaster release Tyler's hand so that he can grab him to do what's considered a souffle, a wrestling move, when he picked him up off of his feet and threw him over his shoulders and crashed him into the cement, causing life-lasting injuries to this young man. So regardless of what they say, the video is clear and it speaks for itself. He never even had a chance to take off his book bag, Tom.
Also, let's keep it real. Their credibility at this point is non-existent. This happened over a year ago. And they've not only lied on and falsified records to get an arrest warrant for them, their own files in their investigation, they change in the story. It doesn't match what's on the video. And then after a year, they want to now get the GBI involved? So anything that Paulding County deputy's office are saying or commenting about this, I take it with a grain of salt, because at the end of the day, their credibility is lost.
You already alluded to this, but how do you respond to the fact that they keep saying that this investigation is ongoing, so they could not release the video, and that the release of the video was done without, of course, their permission, and is the only reason this has escalated to this?
Let me address that too, Sean.
You can.
So,
yeah.
the reason why I asked this is Friday we were like, well, you guys had this for a year, why didn't you release it? Why is it being released anonymously? Can you verify this video? It's one of the questions I asked, and they said they weren't going to release it at all. And do you feel that's part of this cover-up?
Well, a couple things. This ongoing investigation, the video shows everything that happened. It is undisputed. They've already investigated and determined this young man did not break in any cars, did not commit a crime. I don't need to investigate a criminal charge that's bogus that you put on him so you could cover up the fact that you may have civil claims coming against you later. What is there to investigate? He didn't obstruct anybody. So this has nothing to do with anything but the fact that somebody other than us leaked a video, and now they're scrambling and trying to figure out an excuse for why they didn't do the right thing. And thank God we have this video. Sam said this. This happens every day in this state and in this country. Every day. But for the fact we have a video, this man's life would have been altered and changed drastically more than it's already have. They'll be lying on him. So now to come back and say we didn't release the video because of ongoing investigation, the investigation should be on McMaster. He should be charged. That's who should be investigated. If anything should be ongoing, ask them that. Why hasn't McMaster been charged with a crime? If you have a duty to protect and serve, and you know a crime has been committed, which everybody can look at that video and see, why hasn't the deputy charged and filled out an affidavit against McMaster? Why haven't the prosecutors done that? So I have no words for this ongoing investigation that's been going on for how long? They waited 8 months before they even brought him to court. Because you know what they were trying to do? What is the Cochran firm going to do? And while we were investigating, they wouldn't give us this video. The only way we got it is because of the criminal charges. So I'll let Torres talk about it.
Yeah. As you all heard from Sam Starks, this incident happens on March the 4th of 2022. Tyler Canaris contacts the Cochran firm, and they began to request through open records, incident reports, videos, dash cam, body cam, and they are rebuffed with this is an ongoing investigation, so your request is not subject to the open records request. However, there's an exception that the Cochran firm uses. If you look at the open records laws in Georgia, it says that if a criminal defendant or a lawyer representing a criminal defendant or a civil plaintiff has a good faith basis to believe that the audio, the police reports, and everything else will assist their case, you must release it. The Cochran firm submitted that after being rebuffed the first time, they went back with the proper documents, and we were still rebuffed. We as a criminal and civil team. But what happens is when Tyler, we went to arraignment, I believe on December the 15th, 2022. I filed motions for discovery, and we recently received those the documents just on January the 6th of 2022. As part of the discovery, we were told that there are about 8 or 9 DVDs. You need to provide us with some DVDs, and we will then get you all the videos. We were able to then go because you have to physically take videos, your blank DVDs to Paulding. We had those things copied, and as we were looking through everything, this was released somehow. We don't know who released it. It could have been some people who know McMaster and they've been watching him for over the years and they're tired of him. But we didn't release it. We were still going through everything because we just got the information. So as far as how we came into it, I just want to make that clear. We've been begging and doing everything except filing a lawsuit to get these documents, okay? So I just want to make that clear on the progression of how Paulding County rebuffed unlawfully. They should have released all of these documents way back, I believe, as early as April or May to the Cochran firm.
It just shows the mentality and the ratification of these unconstitutional acts. They're going to do whatever to cover their own. And we at the Cochran firm and Mr. Butterfield, we're going to make sure that Tyler's not railroaded.
Hey, Kim, I want to ask Tyler, if you don't mind, how he felt about police before and how he feels about them now. Is that fair?
Go ahead. You can come up.
Basically, when I went to in elementary school, the DARE program, I always thought that they were there to protect us, and they taught us all, the laws and whatnot, what to do, not to do, and then so all the way up until the incident, I thought that cops knew how to act professionally and knew and obeyed the law, but that's it. I think differently now because of that.
Can I add to that question? How do you feel that Mr. McMaster has been going about his life regularly since this incident, with no change, and then you've had to go through so much?
How do you feel about him not getting punished?
I don't know how I feel. Ever since this blew up, I just don't know how to feel about it.
Any other questions?
What's Tyler's work?
He's in landscaping.
This came up in the Tyree Nichols case. What is kind of the role of officers, kind of sowing confusion when they're in the process of making an arrest? It seemed like in the video he was saying, put your hands in your pocket, now take your backpack off, and stuff like that. So sort of giving conflicting orders as he's trying to detain Tyler. Do you think that's a tactical thing, or is this something that you feel like police employ to sort of get their subjects off balance, or was it just sort of, in the Tyree Nichols case, he got a lot of conflicting orders, and he couldn't comply with the things that he was being told to do, and it seemed like something that was happening in this case.
Yeah, your account of what you saw in the video is accurate. McMaster gave conflicting commands while he's asking Tyler or talking to Tyler, and Tyler's just trying to get a better understanding why he's being stopped, what's going on. he's doing certain things that is confusing even to me. Is this something that McMaster was trying to do? I don't know. You will have to ask him. I do, in my history of doing this for over 20 years, that is a common issue, is that you're telling people that you're trying to arrest, detain multiple different commands, and then more importantly and significantly, as you saw in this case, you don't give them a chance to properly respond to the confusing commands. And you end up having a situation where, as in Tyler's case, he's body slammed. I have a case where I got a case, as you guys know, in the city of Atlanta, where Kane Rogers was shot in the head as he's driving away. We got other cases in Ohio where they're making commands and immediately they're shooting at the same time. The bottom line is there's a police issue in this country. And as Sam alluded to, it's not just about race. This unfortunately affects people of color and minorities more, but it affects hardworking, blue-collar people like Tyler. Every day, we represented a young man against the city, same thing. That was with a white gentleman from North Carolina and a black cop here in Atlanta. If you don't properly train officers, but more importantly, hold them accountable when they do something wrong, you're gonna get this problem visiting the steps of every type of person in America, unless you got influence or money. Now, if Tyler was somebody else with a different zip code, a financial situation, or knew somebody, this probably wouldn't happen to Tyler. But this happens when they think they can take advantage of people who they don't think have a voice. But Tyler has a voice. He has Torres speaking for him. He has the Cochran firm speaking for him. And anytime we get in a case, we want to make sure the people who are typically unheard, the people that are underrepresented, that are underappreciated, undervalued, that we speak for them, because what's going on is those are the people this government, this Constitution should protect most. And yet the opposite is happening. And this gentleman is hiring a criminal attorney now. He has to pay medical bills because he was walking to work. Where in this country, this is a great country. This is Make America Great. Where's that great? Where you walking to work and you getting arrested, charged, injured, and you get the medical bill for what they did.
What would you be asking for in the suit? Is that determined yet?
It's not determined. I will tell you that one of the unfortunate things that I've discussed before in this town is these officers go out here, do what they want to do. The police departments and law enforcement, they ratify this conduct and allow these officers to keep sitting on the force, and then they don't have any coverage or limited insurance for them. I know Paulding County only has $1 million policy, so I don't know what that plays in this situation. This gentleman has a long-term road ahead of him. He has a traumatic brain injury. He has a skull fracture. He has a shoulder fracture. He has a hand fracture. The physical and emotional pain and suffering, I can tell you, is more than their policy limits. So I don't know yet, but I know one thing. We need to do something to make sure Paulding County hears Tyler and hears the people of Paulding County to make sure this doesn't happen again.
Quick, one last question. I know you guys mentioned that, saying that you want the immediate firing of the deputy. How do you all feel that it took so long for him to even get desk duty? My understanding is on Friday they placed him on desk duty.
Well, that is troubling on so many levels. That after seeing this video and some superior didn't take action then, that's disappointing. But I also think, you know who else should be terminated? The supervisors who said that was okay, right? You do the right thing when you're required to do the right thing. And the reasons we have so many cases out here is because officers know if they violate people's civil rights and don't do the right thing, there's no consequences. We are here today because a video leaked. That's why you guys called. There's so many cases. There's so many Tylers. There's so many people out there where there's no video. They have no media to come and say and ask these hard questions. We're here because of that video. And make no mistake about it, McMaster would still be out on the force doing the same thing, but for the fact that that video was leaked. The real question is, what are they going to do about it? He should be fired. You know who else should be fired? His superiors who said it was okay.
Will you guys be able to share some of those documents?
Yes. Yes. Anything else? Thank you for your time.
All right, so
I
you have
copied two
been
things from.
watching this live press conference underway. You are seeing 30-year-old Tyler Canaris as well. Let's continue to listen.
Regarding the threats to the co-workers of the wife, and then a portion of their
You
use
guys
of
can
force
come get
policy.
these are extra copies, but Ron is also emailing some of the things I referenced today. Yes.
Good job, Mr. Sarah.
Thank you.
Great job. Hold on, don't leave.
Yep, just one page.
Wait for a minute. We don't want to retire. All right, Sean.
Okay, so you have, right now, you're looking at 30-year-old Tyler Canaris from Dallas, Georgia. This is a man who says that he was viciously body slammed to the pavement by a Paulding County Sheriff's deputy in March of last year, just a little bit less than a year ago today. And we have been hearing from his legal team, speaking at the offices of the Cochran Law Firm in Atlanta, heard from some civil attorneys as well as some criminal attorneys involved in his case. Major headlines out of this: his legal team is calling for Deputy McMaster to be terminated. Right now, McMaster is currently on desk duty, but not only to be terminated, but also to be criminally charged for his actions on March 4th of 2022. Furthermore, the civil attorneys for Tyler Canaris are citing multiple grounds for a potential lawsuit against not only Deputy McMaster personally as an individual, but also against Paulding County as well. We heard them talk about assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress. We talked about constitutional rights violations, civil rights violations. His attorney said that there was, quote, no probable cause for arrest, and that Deputy McMaster, quote, violated the constitutional rights of Tyler Canaris, and that Tyler was, quote, without justification detained and body slammed as well. And they're calling this an incident of, quote, police brutality, and talking about it in sort of this broader context of use of force issues, even citing the names of George Floyd and Tyree Nichols as well. Now, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is now conducting its own independent review of this incident. But the attorneys here are really saying, you know, this is kind of too little too late. Here we are a year later. Why is it only now that authorities are looking into this? You heard a lot of conversation about the video showing what happened on the day in question, March 4th, 2022. And it's something that these attorneys have been pointing to as evidence, and it's something that has really been the source of a lot of public outcry. Let's go ahead and watch this. We do want to warn that some of the language is explicit, so we will mute part of this video.
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Get your hands out of your pockets. Turn up your chains, buddy.
Excuse me.
Being detained, bud. Don't take your backpack off. Take your backpack off.
Excuse me. What am I doing?
Take your backpack off.
Can you explain what this is
Before
for?
you go on the ground, take your backpack off.
I'm going to get picked up for work.
Come on. Since we want to play this game.
Sir,
Put your hands behind your back.
This is my phone.
Put it down.
Can you tell me what's going on?
Just put your hands behind your back before you end up on the ground.
I'm trying to drop my phone. Hello?
Bastard.
Oh my God! I'm just going to work!
We don't know where we're going.
Help me! I'm just going to work!
You got that? Yeah.
I'm just going to work! Ow! Ow!
I don't know.
Ow! Please!
Yeah.
I'm getting picked up from work! Please!
920.
Please help me!
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and this video continues on, and at some point you're going to see what is being described as Deputy McMaster actually searching the bag of Tyler Canaris here. Canaris's legal team has said that after being violently slammed into the pavement by Deputy McMaster, that Canaris actually broke his clavicle, suffered a concussion, broke his thumb, among other injuries. And that he was transported to a hospital where he was being treated for actually several days. So again, this is the video from March 4th of 2022. And again, if you're just joining us, this is the video that really sparked the press conference that we just heard, where we just heard from 30-year-old Tyler Canaris of Dallas, Georgia, along with his legal team, both civil and criminal attorneys. On the criminal side, his attorney is calling for the charges against Tyler to actually be dismissed, actually filed a motion to dismiss because Tyler was charged with obstruction. And on the civil side, no lawsuit has actually been announced at this time, and there has been filed, I should say, at this time. But the civil attorneys for Tyler Canaris from the Cochran law firm cited several possible grounds for a lawsuit and essentially said, we're kind of going to wait and see. We want to wait and see how the county responds here. But if necessary, then we will file a lawsuit against not only Deputy McMaster personally, but Paulding County, the Sheriff's Department there as well, citing assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, civil rights violations, constitutional rights violations as well. But one of the major headlines out of today is that this team of attorneys for Tyler Canaris is calling for Deputy McMaster, who you are seeing here in this video, for him to be terminated. He's currently on desk duty, and for him to be criminally charged. They've also said that he lied in an affidavit describing what was actually happening. But you see, certainly this video is it's causing a lot of public outcry. If you watch that video, and we kind of muted down some of the explicit language that was you could hear on that video, but certainly this is something that we're going to be watching for, whether Deputy McMaster is ultimately terminated, whether Deputy McMaster is criminally charged, whether the criminal charges against Tyler Canaris are dropped as well, and whether there is a lawsuit that's going to be filed. So keep it right here on Atlanta News First Plus, and of course our traditional broadcast, Atlanta News First, as we continue to follow all the breaking developments on this story and all your other top stories. Have a great day.